Democratic. Now, democracy in India is of three types: political democracy, social democracy, and the economic democracy, or socio-economic democracy, often they are called like that. And liberty is nothing but freedom, freedom of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. These freedoms were also contained in the objectives resolution, the avocation, vocation, etc. So you understand that these are just those freedoms which have been replicated here. Now, is the preamble a part of the constitution? This is a big doubt in the minds of some of the aspirants. Well, earlier in the Birubari case, the Supreme Court said that it is not a part of the constitution, but in Keshavananda Bharati case, it changed its opinion and said that it is a part of the constitution. Let's have a look at it. Let us now have a look at the preamble of the Indian Constitution. Now, what does the preamble say? It's better to read the text of the preamble. It says that we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt an act and give to ourselves this Constitution. You see certain words which are marked in red ink, the words socialist, secular, and integrity. They were not contained in the original preamble, which came into existence on this date, 26th of November 1949. They are later day additions by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment in 1976 during emergency. Now, what does the preamble tells us? But before I go into it, from where we have derived our preamble? The preamble is based on the objectives resolution, which was moved by Pandit Nehru on 13th of December 1946 and which was adopted unanimously by the Constituent Assembly on 22nd of January 1947. Now, this objectives resolution highlights that how the Indian state would be under the Constitution, and the preamble is based on it. As far as preliminary examination is concerned, one or two questions have been asked from preamble also very regularly. One question is very common from the preamble. What does the preamble tells us? Well, the preamble tells us four important things. First, source of authority of the Constitution, that from where the Constitution derives its authority, and where we, the people of India. It means it establishes popular sovereignty and thereby makes democracy a reality in the country. Second, it tells us about the nature of the Indian state. It means how the Indian state would be. And how it would be sovereign. Sovereign means that India is neither a dominion nor a dependency. It is externally free and internally supreme. India can legislate on any subject and is not subject to legislation. India does not owe allegiance to any external power. It is not dependent on any external power. India is independent in the true sense of the term. That is what is sovereignty. So how would be the Indian state? It would be a sovereign state. Socialist. Socialist here should not be confused with socialism with respect to economic organization. Socialist here means that the society will be arranged in a socialist pattern. It means it will uphold the concepts of egalitarianism, equality, etc. Socialism here in India doesn't mean communism or a preparatory stage for communism which is looking for abolishment of private property, but it is only putting private property under some sort of check so that it does not cause concentration of wealth in few hands to the detriment of the nation. So the idea is not establishment of socialism or communism. In fact, Indian Constitution does not adhere to any ism. It only calls for socialistic pattern of society. That is what socialist here means. Secular, we have seen the meaning of secular and we know that the Indian secularism is positive sense of secularism. Democratic. Now, democracy in India is of three types: political democracy, social democracy, and the economic democracy, or socio-economic democracy, often they are called like that. Democracy, as Abraham Lincoln very famously said, government of the people, by the people, for the people. Democracy simply means that there is popular sovereignty. Democracy, in fact, is of two types: direct democracy and indirect democracy. Direct democracy is when you govern the country directly. The people come, assemble, and govern the country directly. Such kind of democracy exists in small countries where the population is less. But other countries which have adopted democracy have gone for representative democracy, also known as indirect democracy, which again is of two types: presidential form of democracy and the parliamentary form of democracy. India has adopted the parliamentary form of representative democracy. And democracy here means not only political democracy, but social and economic democracy. What does these terms mean? These terms mean that in the political, social, and economic sphere, there is no discrimination between man and man arbitrarily. It means the idea is to deliver justice. Justice means non-discrimination in social, economic, or political affairs. Arbitrary discrimination is not allowed. Do you understand this? Yes, if there is some special circumstances and if there is some prohibition by law, such kind of discrimination can be allowed. But arbitrary distinction cannot be made between man and man in social sphere, economic sphere, and in political sphere. That is what is called the meaning of justice. Like say, for example, in political sphere, everyone will be having the right to vote, whoever is 18 or 18 plus, provided he or she is not otherwise disqualified by law or constitution. So that is political justice. So democracy here means social democracy, economic democracy. It means non-discrimination in economic sphere, non-discrimination in political sphere, non-discrimination in the social sphere, and having equal participation in the formation of society, in the formation of economy, in the formation of the polity of the land. Clear? No arbitrary distinction. The idea is to deliver justice, social, economic, and political. Because you know, a lot of social cleavages existed in India prior to independence. Therefore, social justice have been put forward as the most important theme. It's followed by economic justice and then political justice. You know, in fact, Dr. Ambedkar also said that at the base, if there is no political or no social and economic democracy, political democracy cannot stand on its own. Republic, it means India is not a monarchy. It has an elected president superimposed over the parliamentary form of government. It means the highest office or under the constitution is open for all and everyone can enter that office. Do you understand this? And there is no special reservation. It means the president does not come into the office by heredity. Anyone who is elected comes into the office, and the president, you know, is representative of the union as well as the units. Now, third, it is the objectives of the constitution. What is the objective of the constitution? To establish justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. Justice, you understand? Liberty is nothing but freedom. Freedom of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. These freedoms were also contained in the objectives resolution, the avocation, vocation, etc. So you understand that these are just those freedoms which have been replicated here. Equality, equality of status and of opportunity to promote among them all. Fraternity, equality means of status and opportunity means on the social sense, everyone would be equal. And as far as economic opportunities or social opportunities or comfort or political opportunities are concerned, everyone would be equal. It means there would be absence of privileged classes. Like in the olden days, there existed privileged classes. Such privileged classes will be gone. Abolishment of titles, abolishment of untouchability only fulfills this promise of equality which is made in the preamble. Fraternity means a sense of brotherhood. And the brotherhood that is contained in the Indian constitution is not limited to the people of India, but it is a loftier ideal. It overflows the boundaries and it talks about universal brotherhood. In fact, the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, it means the entire world is our home. You know that that idea has given birth to the concept of fraternity, but it is also inspired from the French Revolution. Anyhow, it also tells about the date of the adoption of the constitution. And what is that date? The 26th day of November. So 4 important things that are told to us by the preamble. First, from where it derives its authority? People. How would be the state? Sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. What are the aims? Justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. Which is the date? 26 November 1949. That is what is the preamble which tells us. And remember that it is based on the objectives resolution. Now, you see, universal adult franchise, periodic elections, rule of law, independence of judiciary, absence of discrimination on certain grounds are manifestation of the democratic character of Indian polity. Similarly, the term democratic is used in the preamble in the broader sense, embracing not only political democracy but also social and economic democracy. Now, is the preamble a part of the constitution? This is a big doubt in the minds of some of the aspirants. Well, earlier in the Birubari case, the Supreme Court said that it is not a part of the constitution, but in Keshavananda Bharati case, it changed its opinion and said that it is a part of the constitution. Let's have a look at it. In the Birubari Union case, which talked about exchange of enclaves, it says, a preamble to the constitution serves as a key to open the minds of the framers and shows the general purpose for which they made the several provisions in the constitution. It means it's just like the famous eminent jurist N.A. Palkiwala said, that the preamble is the identity card of the constitution. It means tells us that what the constitution is looking. It means the preface. जब आप preamble पढ़ते हो आपको पता लगता है कि अंदर क्या हो सकता है, क्योंकि यही है जो हमें establish करना है. This is the aim of the constitution. The preamble is not a part of the constitution. This is what the Supreme Court is saying in Birubari Union case. So keep this in mind. It is not a source of several powers conferred on the government under the provisions of the constitution. It means the governments do not draw the powers, or the organs of the government do not draw the power from the preamble, but from the respective provisions of the constitution. Such powers embrace those expressly granted in the body of the constitution, such as may be implied from those granted. It means it is not coming from the preamble. What is true about the powers is equally true about the prohibitions and limitations. It means the preamble also does not put any prohibition or limitation. It does not give any power. It does not put any prohibition or limitation. The preamble did not indicate the assumption that the first part of the preamble postulates a very serious limitation on one of the very important attributes of sovereignty. It is not like that. But in the Keshavananda Bharati case, you know, the famous case from Kerala 1973, where it said that the preamble to the Constitution of India is a part of the Constitution. It means the Birubari view was exchanged, or it was changed in the Keshavananda Bharati, that the preamble is not a source of power nor a source of limitation, but that view was maintained. It means that the government do not, it means the parliament, the executive or the judiciary do not draw their strength from the preamble, but draw their strength from the main body of the constitution. Nor the preamble is putting any kind of limitation upon their, such limitations or such power is drawn from the text of the constitution, the main body. The preamble has a significant role to play in the interpretation of the constitution, also in the interpretation of the provisions of the constitution. So what is the utility of preamble? First, it tells us, it sets the aims and objectives of the constitution. Second, though it is not, you say it is enforceable, but it tells us that what the framers of the Indian constitution were thinking when they were making this constitution. It is a key to unlock the minds of the framers of the Indian constitution. Do you understand this? And you see that the makers of the Indian constitution, they believe that the entire idea of the constitution is contained in the preamble. The preamble helps in the interpretation of the constitution wherever the text is ambiguous. So it is a part of the constitution, but it is not a necessary part of the constitution. अगर आप preamble हटा दोगे तब भी कोई constitution पढ़ेगा समझ जाएगा. Preamble से trailer मिल जाता है कि हाँ constitution ऐसा है. Is it enforceable? No, it is not enforceable. Does it put any limitation? No. Does it gives any power? No. But how is it useful? It provides the pith and substance of the constitution. It tells us that what will be there in this book as you open the book. So what is the utility of the preamble? This is the utility of the preamble. The preamble is neither a source of power to the legislature nor a prohibition upon the powers of legislature. It is non-justiciable, that is, its provisions are not enforceable in courts of law. It helps in interpreting the constitution where the text is ambiguous. It reflects the ideas and objectives of the constitution, justice, liberty, fraternity, etc. It tells us the date of the enactment of the constitution, 26 November 1949. It highlights the nature of the Indian state, democratic, socialist, secular, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. It tells us the source from which the constitution derives its authority, people. It is a part of the constitution and it can be amended. Yes, it can be amended. In fact, it has been amended in the 42nd constitutional amendment, and the word socialist, secular and integrity were added to the preamble. It declares the type of democracy envisaged under the Indian constitution. What kind of democracy? Social, economic and political, and not merely political. It gives us an idea about the basic structure of the constitution. Well, if you see, अगर आपको ये डाउट है कि ये बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर का पार्ट है या नहीं है, अगर आप प्रीएम्बल को देखो और अगर आप इंटरप्रेट कर पाओ तो आपको एक आइडिया मिल जाएगा हॉल में कि हाँ ये बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर का पार्ट हो सकता है, अगर उसका कोई एक रिफ्लेक्शन या कनेक्शन आपको प्रीएम्बल में भी मिल रहा है. Do you understand this? So That is all.